Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Uncorked with Funny Wine Girl. This is Funny Wine Girl, aka Janine Luby. And you know the drill. I like to say how I know my guest or how I met them because I do think it's so important that I believe now more than ever, that we connect with one another. I think it's great to step outside your comfort zone. I know for some folks that could be easier said than done, but try something new. Go to that, township meeting, go to that, business mixer, go to that film screening, go to an art show. Get out there in the community, participate, get to meet people, remember their name, take their business card, because you just never know how you can serve one another and what you can learn. Even if you're just talking to the person and you learn something, wow, what a nice idea, right? It's great to keep on learning. So my guest this week, Tara Gallucci, is someone that I met at an event that I actually did as part of I am celebrating. I haven't talked about it for a while because I was building up to my April 13th event. 5 years I'm celebrating of the podcast. Actually, this May, this month that we're in right now, it is 5 years of doing Uncorked with Funny Wine Girl. But I've been doing some extra things to celebrate along the way. But the big thing, and I'm hoping to have more in-person events, and I've got some, that are kind of on the back burner because life has gotten, with my dad's illness and life, it's gotten a little bit challenging, but I still plan on doing a few more things. But April 13th, I was very excited to host in Scranton a screening of the film Loud Enough: Surviving Justice. And on the podcast last October, I had the film's director, Hillary Klotz Steinman. I had who the subject of the documentary, Maddie Smith, and her mom, Mandy. And then I also had a former prosecutor, Julie German, and a former police detective, Justin Boardman. So I had the two different episodes. One was really Maddie's story of surviving sexual assault, how she was not met with really much help from the Lackawanna County, or excuse me, not Lackawanna County. I'm getting myself, I don't want to get anybody in trouble here. Kansas. She was actually in Kansas. And I forget the name of the town, so I don't want to mess it up. But basically, where she was located, the prosecutor there did not want to prosecute. And so, thanks to Julie German, Justin Boardman, she got the help she needed and a very supportive community and family. And so the documentary tells her story. And what I want to say, and I don't want to spend too much time on it, is that it was my goal to bring it to Scranton because it's not something you can stream on Netflix or YouTube or Hulu. It is kind of an independently distributed film from Women Make Movies. And so you have to host it. So whether you're a college campus or, maybe a police department or a civic, organization, you can basically pay to show the film. And so I sponsored that part as Uncorked with Funny Wine Girl. And I had Hillary come up, the film's director. She came in from New York City. And then I worked with Women in Philanthropy of the Scranton Area Foundation, who were kind enough to host it and take care of refreshments. And they were wonderful to work with. And it was at the April 13th screening that I met Tara Gallucci, because Tara had found out about Women in Philanthropy. And Women in Philanthropy, I'll give them another shout out. They do wonderful stuff for women and for local nonprofits that do serve women. So it was wonderful just to have the event. And I'll be honest, April 13th feels like worlds away, but it really wasn't that long ago. And it was such a very full evening of wonderful conversation. A tough topic, no question, sexual assault. But the fact that the survivor herself felt empowered, and that I believe her story is important and it's something we need to talk about. The conversation was so rich afterwards. Even the film's director, we were talking after the event, and she said these were some great questions. She was fully engaged. She was thrilled to see an audience that was so involved and wanted to learn more. And Tara and I connected that night. And without further ado, I'm really delighted to have Tara on so I can share her story and we can get into the nonprofit that she has now, Still I Rise Empowerment Initiative. So without me talking much more, Tara Gallucci, welcome and thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
It was so great. I was so glad that you came up to me because this is something, I'm 54, but the younger me was always shy about approaching people. And I want to remind people, especially women, like you came up and you were talking to me and I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to connect with you and have you on the podcast. And you're kind enough, you're going to sponsor an episode as well. But it was so kind of you. And it was just so important because we need to reach out to other people, especially as women, be like, you know what? I want to talk to you. I want to share my story. I want to learn more about your story. So thank you. I'm glad that you reached out to me.
Yeah, thank you. It was an absolute pleasure, and the screening was, it blew me away. It had like a very bittersweet ending to it, because they didn't exactly get the result they wanted. But Madison, she, like, the fact that she was like, it's okay now. I'm moved on. I've her voice was out there, so it didn't matter what legislation or prosecutors or anybody had to say about it anymore at this point. So that's why I was like, wow, that's what made it really beautiful for me, is the fact that she was able to move forward.
Yeah. And I think that's important. When I had Julie German on, the former prosecutor who helped them do through this, and it was in the documentary, like she said, as the prosecutor from her previous life when she was prosecuting, she always wanted to win. And like at the end of the day, like she said, it's really about what the survivor feels. And if Maddie felt empowered and like, you know what, I'm good, I'm ready to move on, that is absolutely without a doubt she's the most important person in this. And for her to feel better and ready to move on with her life, which is what she wanted, that was a real victory, I think, for her.
Yeah, I think that's a victory for all of us women when we go through anything in life. It's A lot of us like to drown underneath the weight of our pain or traumas to the past. I was definitely one of those people. I used drugs, men, whatever I could to kind of, numb the pain, and it only made it worse. But through time in a very serious situation, I was able to get my life together and really like evaluate myself. And it was beautiful to watch. We don't always get things the way we think we're going to get them or how we see the world should get them. But when it does come along, you're like, I'm all right now. It's okay. Like, I think that was the most beautiful part. I loved it. And I commend that young lady for it.
Yeah. And I think honestly, it gives me shivers because she's giving hope to other women, just even if it's like, okay, so she did not get the verdict she wanted, but it's like the strength. And there might be women out there that are like, I'm done, I'm damaged, I'm broken, or I can't
Yeah.
continue, I have no strength. They see her and they go, okay, I can move on. And then whatever peace looks like for that woman, that's only she can really tell that. And when she finds it, that's what's important. But it is also important, I think, to have that support. And she was fortunate to have family and community. And that is why I think it's so great that people came out to see the screening, because they need to understand what it's like for women going through these traumatic situations. And to even just showing up, I think, is important. Community members can just show up, learn more, be aware, because that's a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not where I'm from in Jersey, we didn't, at least I didn't see much of a community at the time, but I also wasn't living in the proper community, I guess you could say. But out here in Scranton, I literally found my home and my people, and working, within the women in philanthropy, they're just absolutely amazing. Like, you feel so empowered. I got to network with such a different array of women that like you would never meet anywhere else. And it's really cool. I love it. It was amazing. It was a pleasure to meet you too, and be here today. You never know where the road's going to take you.
Yes, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. In fact, I moved my little sign. Here it is. That I like sharing this with people because it's a plaque someone gave me when I was leaving my day job. When nothing is sure, everything is possible. I really do love that because it's hard for folks to be like, well, I want to have this job, I want to have this marriage, these kids, this car, this vacation, whatever. And I've never really been that kind of person. Maybe it's a little bit easier. Believe me, I'm not laid back, but it's like I didn't have that plan. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's just so lovely because sometimes things will come out of nowhere and you're like, well, geez, I didn't see this coming, in a good way. Now,
Yeah.
bad stuff does too, but the good stuff is really great when you're like, wow, I didn't think I'd be here, but this is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the stuff that I had lived through in my life, I did not think 5 years ago, which I celebrated my clean date, which was also the same day that I got arrested, which was April 28th, 2021. I celebrated 5 years. And that was the day I was like, okay, we're done. I need something different. But where the road has taken me since, it's just been mind blowing. Like, in my life, I always just kind of wanted the like, I guess, normal, in a sense, if you could call anything normal, a community, a family, really loving, supporting people. And I never thought I'd have it, but I had to go through all of these really bad roads to lead where I am today. I started in Jersey, where I'm from, and landed here in Scranton, and I'm like, now this is my home, these are my people. So it's crazy how you really do grow from the worst moments of your life.
Yeah.
They
And
really become your best at a point.
Oh, absolutely. And I love
Mhm.
the fact that, I mean, I'm an OG Scranton and I've always loved the area. I know it has its problems, but I'm always delighted when I hear people who are like from somewhere else and they're like, this is my home. I'm like, yay, I'm excited. But I want to hit pause before we go too far. I want you to be able to share like what is leading you up to now. You have this Still I Rise empowerment initiative, which I want to talk about. But I
Mhm.
know that when you came up to me, you approached me, you talked to me about you had a rough road for sure. And you said growing up, I believe you used the term in gang culture,
Mhm.
motorcycle, maybe. I want to hear from you, if you don't mind, as much as you want to share, just to give us a shape of what you've been through, where you've come from, and how you've grown to get to this point.
Sure. So prison culture was really normal in my life. I used to visit my grandmother in prison. She was in Clinton State Prison for Women. She got out when I was about 5 or 6, I believe it was. But to me, that was normal. And that was my grandma. And I loved her. And she's, God rest her soul, she was an amazing woman. But she was there for murder. And she did end up getting out. And I was able to spend time with her like normally. But throughout my life, my dad always had a Harley, and we always had, friends and barbecues, and we would go visit. And, you saw people with cuts on, but my dad didn't take the plunge into that lifestyle until I was about 10, due to family issues. My mother, she was schizophrenic, bipolar, got addicted to opiates. She was a part of like the Percocet crisis, pretty much all my family on my mother's side had gotten addicted to pills, besides my one aunt, who I still have today, and I love her. She's one of my biggest supporters. But all of us had to end up going to jail. I was a co-defendant on my dad's twice, uh, because he was my best friend. Like he was all I had. And as far as a woman community, I didn't really have a good stable one or a really good example of one with my mom. She was more of a uh, she was a very volatile woman, unfortunately. So I didn't know how to take women, and every one of my experiences with women weren't very positive throughout life. So I kind of eventually got fully immersed into the lifestyle. My dad, of course, is now at this point, I think it's about 30 years in his lifestyle of being in that. And that's just who he is. He's been in it and around it since he's been 12. So this was like a generational thing that kept happening. I had a brother as well, who took his life in jail. He had a opiate addiction as well. My mother died in jail 3 days in. I had my late fiance who we were in the club. He was in the club, but I grew up in it, and he took his life by police suicide in Florida. So like it was just these constant events of trauma and pain. But once that final event happened, where I had to watch this event happen in front of me, which it literally took me everything I was, who I could have been, or it just, my soul burned away that day. And I sunk very, very heavily into drug use and just kind of dated men that were superficial. What could could they support me drug wise, money wise, whatever? There was no love there. And I finally, our house had gotten raided. I was living in Northampton with my ex, who, we were doing drugs and stuff together. And I walked up to them actually because I was just done. Like it sounds so strange and everybody thinks it's nuts when they say it, but I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like my dad he was already arrested. He had a RICO case going. So he was in a federal holding in Jersey, and I didn't have anybody. Everybody was gone. I have 3 kids now. I have 4. But people are like, oh, well, aren't they enough? It's not about like the kids. It's about, if I wasn't okay, I wasn't okay. And my kids, I had pushed them out of my life during the severe drug use and severe, you know, gang involvement. And I didn't ever want them to see me like that. But then they got to see me at my worst moment, which was like through the media and stuff. And I just, it just, it was, I remember sitting in that cell and I was like, this is it. Like, this can't happen anymore. And I'm ready. I'm just ready to like end all of this nonsense, because I wanted to, like, I did not want to be alive anymore. I didn't want to kill myself, but I didn't want to be alive. I had been raped. I had been kidnapped myself. And it was by friends, and it happened by more than one occasion. It happened so much that it became disassociated with the pain and the trauma. I didn't feel it anymore, but I didn't feel anything either. Like love and comfort and safety. I had no idea what those things were whatsoever. And once I got to county jail, which at the time was Northampton, and we were COVID, we were locked in for 23 hours and 15 minutes a day.
Oof.
And oh my God, that experience really was just a nightmare. To be coming off of like methamphetamine, your mind isn't right. You're locked in a box in a strange place. You don't have anybody to really call. There's nobody really there for you. Um, that mentally coming back to myself or figuring out who I was a nightmare. I couldn't even read or write properly when I first got arrested. I remember like trying to do my public defender paper, and I'm like, I can't remember half of what I'm supposed to write here. I didn't know my address. Like it just really burnt me out. But through time, I was able to like read and get like my basic was like your cognitive behaviors back.
Mm.
I was able to do that, and then I finally got sentenced to 3 to 6 years to go up to SCI Muncie. And when I got to SCI Muncie, I was like, thank God, because I didn't get to see the light. Like, literally, like, there's no light of like the day inside of Northampton County for women. I was a medium. So you only get this like little square box where you can kind of look up at the sky. So you kind of know the weather's like outside, but you
Mm.
don't. But you don't see grass, you don't see color, you don't see anything. So when I got to Muncie, I cried and I was like, wow, finally I'm free, which sounds crazy, but I was more free in that state prison than I ever was in my life prior to going to prison. And
Mhm.
SCI Muncie saved my life. Prison can be a catalyst for good for you, or it can be something bad. And for me, I was like, I'm going to take every class, every therapy, anything they have. And I really just pushed myself into it. And I did a lot of hard self work on myself, whereas in the past, I always wanted to kind of work on everybody else because it's so much easier to solve somebody else's problems than
Yep. Yep.
it is to look inside yourself. But the only person I had to face anymore was myself. And I was like, I'm so tough, right? But this is something I really need to do. So I was in like a human trafficking therapy that this CO, his name's Captain Savage, and he literally was one of the people that saved my life. And
Mm.
he just came to me. He's like, I'm never gonna like ask you anything. He's like, I know you're not gonna say anything. He's like, but would you accept help if I could get you the help? Because I think that you're smart and you deserve it. And I was like, yeah, please. And he did. And he got them, and he got it's the YWCA. He
Mhm.
had somebody come in for like domestic violence help as well for me, to help me kind of see the flags in people and in myself, to work in myself. And then the human trafficking therapist, she really helped me to kind of reprogram myself to be loyal and loving, because even though I was that, it was just to the wrong people and to the wrong causes, to do it within myself. So it was a lot. It was a lot of hard work, and they changed my life. It sounds nuts. People listen to me like, "Oh my God, really?" I'm like, yeah, really, they did. And then
Yeah.
I got out, and I asked to come to Scranton because my daughter, she goes to Marywood and she graduates this year.
Oh,
So I'm so
wow.
I'm so proud of her.
That's amazing.
I know she got a scholarship. Like my kids, they really like the stuff they had went through it with me. They had lost me with them, and they still managed to be really amazing people. So like, of anything, I'm so unbelievably proud of my daughter. Her name's Italia. I told her I was shouting around and everything, and she graduates in May, and she just busted her butt. And I remember calling her when I initially got arrested, and I was like, I am so sorry. I embarrassed you. She was like, it's okay, Mom. We don't have the same last name. I was like, all right, cool. Thank you. Glad that got
One
out of the
less thing
way.
to worry about, right?
Right? But when I came out here, she had to see the change. Like she heard me on the phone and stuff, but it's different. So in person, she's finally through, think like last summer's when we really had our come to fruition, like, hey, mom's here to stay. And this is my mom now. And this is wonderful. So, and we're really, really close to, I am with all my kids. And she's just, she's helping me along with the Still I Rise. She's designed my like logos, my business cards. She's doing my brochures for me now and everything. She's a graphic arts
Oh,
designer.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it worked. So that's what we're doing. Like everything's in family. My fiance, he just opened an auto body shop. He's another person in recovery who he never thought he could have anything more than, using. And she created all his stuff for him out here in Scranton. So it's been a really long, hard road. And then getting back with my dad, who, my best friend throughout life, but not exactly the most healthy father-daughter
Mhm.
relationship. Me and him were really blessed to kind of have this like clean slate of where now we're just father and daughter. And he would send me all these pictures of wedding dresses, like, how do you want to do your wedding, and how to, like, but like, what do we want to do here, and helping me like pay for the wedding and stuff. And he just got out of federal prison himself, and he,
Wow.
yeah, like, and he's 62. He spent most of his life in and out of prison. And he found his father dead, from his mother. I think he was 14 or 15, because we clarified this after my last podcast. But the trauma he was through, and I'm like, this is it. Like, it's gotta stop. Like, let's have something different. And today I have that with my dad, and
Yeah.
I can't believe who it is, who I am today, and the life I have today. Because I would have never thought. I thought I would have been definitely passed away by now.
Wow.
So
Well, that is okay. That's a lot. That
it
is a
is. That's
lot.
why I
Yeah.
tried to like
Yeah.
get it really close.
No, no, and I don't just mean a lot here, but I mean a lot so I want to say without, and I don't want this to sound trite. I mean, congratulations truly for your sobriety,
Thank
for
you.
what you like being able to do the hard work, as they say, doing all of that stuff, and to now, and we'll talk about it in a minute, but how you're helping other people, but to know that like there is hope, there is possibility of change, people can change, and you can help yourself when you're focusing just on you. I do want to follow up on a couple things you said. So, and maybe you won't know exactly what it is or to talk about, but I've heard before too, with COVID really hurt a lot of people mentally, even,
Yeah.
on the outside, so to speak. How was there, do you remember what it was that actually gave you the strength to get through that? Because that had to be incredibly difficult to be cut off from literally everybody.
I mean, my sheer will to like not give up, I think, is what always kept me alive no matter what. Um, I remember just going insane inside that cell. I'm not gonna lie to you, like throwing things, mad at everybody, everything, mad at myself. Just it was really hard to get back, to get my mental health. But like it puts you in positions where throughout my whole life you don't have an option to get through it. Like, and I constantly let everything bad that happened to me make me worse. And I was damned if that was going to happen this time. So I was like, this is a really good reminder as to when I want to colorfully cuss somebody off, I should probably not do it. you know, like to really control myself. And it did. It helped me gain like emotional regulation being inside there. And there was like maybe one CO, and I don't even think she works there anymore. She was absolutely amazing, and she just would come by my door all the time and just have a chat with me. And but it was horrendous. It was
Mhm.
absolutely horrendous being in jail. COVID, there are some state prisons out here still with men who aren't fully unlocked from COVID,
Oh
which is
my.
horrible.
Wow.
And some of these people are lifers, and they're just like going out of their minds. Imagine for years. It was just absolutely a horrendous experience.
Yeah. And I guess, and so then you had said being free, like more or less with
Yeah.
Muncie. Is it because you had, it sounds like you were given or provided the opportunity to do a lot to enrich yourself. And
Mhm.
is that where the freedom came in from? You think that you had, like,
Yeah.
even though you were in prison, you had these opportunities that you could actually do for yourself?
Yes, I had choices, whereas in my life prior, I didn't have choices really. My life was kind of at one point, I was like kind of I had a guard or a person with me at all times, especially after my late had basically taken his life. And it was, I had no control over who I was or what I did. And my dad, he was always like used against me to like keep me in line. Didn't really work all the time though, but he it was, I didn't have like freedom of choice in a sense, because every time I felt like I tried to get away from that lifestyle, something happened where they would crawl back in, and it'd be like at a weak moment where
Mm.
because I didn't have family, like nobody in my family was mentally stable, and I didn't have anybody. Everybody was gone. So I've sunk back into it very heavily with my dad at that point. And yeah,
Yeah.
it was, there was no freedom there. And then the COVID lock just kind of like doubled down on the
Yeah.
fact of no freedom. But when you get to Muncie, they had I did a program called House of Hope, which is for like women of domestic violence. It's a 6 months inpatient program, so you go to a different cottage. It's really beautiful, and you do a lot of self work there with all women, and they help you to learn how to laugh again in that
Mm.
program. Like I'll never forget it. We had a it was, lip syncing, or not lip syncing, with a karaoke, that we
Yeah.
did that in the prison. And my one friend, her name is Charlotte, she is so sweet, she got on the floor doing Black Velvet and was just dancing like a stripper, and the director of the program was just like, okay. But it was funny, because it was just a bunch of girls being girls and learning how to just laugh again.
Yeah.
So, and that was probably an inappropriate moment, but there's some real characters while we're in Muncie, but it was just, I remember that was like that moment where I learned how to really laugh again.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's so valuable. It really is.
Mhm.
Let me ask you, I know you mentioned before, like in your life up until this point before this, your relationships with women were not good.
No.
So did the time in prison help change that because of the bond from the women that had gone through a lot of things, probably maybe similar to what you had been through, or kind of similar?
Yeah, absolutely. The women in prison, it's you literally will find like your sisterhood. I still have women that are in SCI Muncie today that I talk to, that I love, I consider my sisters, and of all different types of crimes, but we're not defined by them. I don't see them for that. I see them for who they are today. The people that I know, that I spend time with, um, and they grow with you. They're just that prison is what made me open up to having like a sisterhood, and wanting that, but wanting to bring it on the outside so that when they come home they have it, because it was very solitary out here for me, because I didn't know anybody, and I had to just restart my life completely. And I didn't really have a support system, I couldn't put that all on my daughter, like she had her own life she was doing. And my daughter's father, he lived out here as well. He still does, and he's in sobriety as well. He just celebrated 3 years, and he was like my buddy, my rock. He still is my, like, one of my coolest friends. We've known each other since teenage years, and but I was able to build a women's community within the sober community, within women in philanthropy, and they just have all these women rally behind me and be like, yeah, let's do this, let's bring these ladies home, let's bring moms together with their kids. And instead of looking at them like the pariahs of the community, like, unfortunately, women are the fastest growing population in institutions, in prison, because
Mm.
they're stepping up as like the male roles, but those aren't great male roles. You know what I mean? So they're going to prison too. And I just I want these women to have an opportunity to come home and be successful and follow their dreams, no matter what it is. Because if I'm able to do it, why can't they?
Yeah. Yeah. I forget where what I read. It was an article or something about women in prison, or maybe it was part of a documentary about like women who were being put away for like ridiculously, what I'll call ridiculous, like,
Mhm.
possession of marijuana, like these very small drug cases. And they're like, but they're being taken away from their families, from their kids, and being put in prison for these things. It's like, what the heck are you doing? So I know, I remember that documentary, that article that I saw was about the growth of women going to prison, and that's sad, seeing them being torn from their families and leaving them behind like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sad, especially like there's women that I was incarcerated with that were pregnant at the time, and then they'd go and they'd have their baby, and having them come back and watch them, it was just heartbreaking, because they have to say goodbye. Like, I'm not saying they didn't do anything at all. A lot of the women in prison are usually DUI cases, I noticed. But the thing with the DUI cases, and I'm not saying that people should use and drive, it's a lot of them came in with like marijuana or something, but that stays in your system for 30 days, yet it's medically legal. So it's really like a very strange thing they have, with the marijuana, because you could have it in your system and not be under the influence. So that was the one thing I was like, oh my God, like that happened to my fiance. I'm like, this is just really kind of horrible to experience, and but there are some that, absolutely have committed their crimes. I am definitely one of the people that, I participated in very messed up activities. I may have been just a girlfriend, but that didn't mean, I didn't, I was getting high, and
Mm.
that wasn't right. And, the thing with my program is we take accountability in my program. We're not brushing it off and saying, oh, hey, we're out, we're free, forgive us. That's not how that goes. I feel like everybody should be a part of their community. And that's one of the things that's detrimental in my program, is having everybody be a part of a community and giving back regardless. Even if you really didn't do much of anything throughout life, I think that that's the most beautiful thing you could do, is give back to your community.
Yeah. And community is important. It's healthy because you have some support there when you need it, and you can be there to lend support for others. So let's talk about that so that we can get into some more of like what you're building. It's
Mhm.
Still I Rise Empowerment Initiative. And you're gonna serve women basically when they get out of prison. Is that right? From county, federal and state, or is it while they're
Yes.
in prison? Tell us
We're going to
what it's
do
about.
mentoring while in prison as well.
Okay.
So that's the thing. So this program, we modeled it off of Tomorrow's Neighbors, the Cumberland model, which was made by Kurt Danish, and he started his while he was still incarcerated. So it's straight peer to peer. We're built off of trust. So I'm not going to have anybody come and talk to you who has no idea what you've been through. We all don't have the exact same story, but we definitely have been in the same place. So we have that in common. So it will start while they are still incarcerated, months, maybe even a few years to their release, just to kind of be there for each other. So they have that sense of community. So they know that there's people outside rooting for them. And then when they come home, it will be a program. It's a house, but it's not, because it's a program. Like, I'm not there to. This program's not there to be your cushy lifestyle. We're here as women to face the uncomfortable moments of life, of rebuilding it, and to build a community within each other. And that's what my program's all about.
So
Yeah.
will you help them with like maybe getting some job skills, connecting them with opportunities for employment, things like that?
Yeah, so any type of like women's resource center, the Women in Philanthropy has an amazing financial literacy program that they're absolutely open to having my girls come do. Any type of drug and alcohol counseling, we have multiples in the area, and the Recovery Bank, I actually work with them. Absolutely amazing out here in Scranton. They were my first place that really like got me, connected in with everybody. Whatever they need. The Goodwill also has a reentry for employment. There's so many like community members that like heard of what I was doing and really, got behind me in this. So yeah, they have all the support, making sure they have toiletries, bedding when they come home, because those are really important, and helping them with food, getting them, making sure their health insurance is done, Compass, anything that needs to be done, we will be there to help them to do. They just got to do the work. So we
Yeah.
can give them the resources and set them up with the appointments and help them with things and places, but they have to do the work. And that's the thing. Like, I don't even want TVs in their rooms, because I want one in the living room where everybody can be in a community together and just talk. Hey, how was your day? What do you want to do? I want to set up hiking trips, all kinds of things for them to keep them busy and, on the right path, because it's really easy to get lost in what have I missed, and, insecurities or toxic relationships. That is a huge one, is the women needing to have confidence to do this on their own, in all
Yeah.
reality. You have
Yeah.
to do
So
that.
do you have then you do have a physical structure like a home that, or you don't?
No,
It's a
I'm
program.
trying. Yes.
Okay.
So I will have one soon. I am in talks with some people out here in Lackawanna County, really good individuals that are trying to help me along this process, to get a home. And I want them to have a home that's like grandma's home, like it's just comfy, it's chill. So I plan on having like surveillance just inside of the main rooms, because with men, they don't like that. But with women, it's like more of a security thing, like where
Mm,
they feel secure and they feel safe, which as women, we don't really feel that much at all, especially in prison. Prison is, I felt secure and safe, but it can be a very traumatizing, dangerous place at times. Like there were women that absolutely wanted to threaten taking my date, as they call it, to not let me go home to my family. And it's like, oh my God, like, what do I do here? Do I, argue with this individual, possibly get into a fight, get thrown in the hole and lose everything? Or should I just walk away? And having to learn to walk away, that was one of the things that I learned in SCM Muncie, because I wanted a better future for myself.
Hmm. This is going to sound, please don't take this question the wrong way and that it's a superficial question, but I'll ask it anyway because a lot of people have watched Orange is the New Black and you see the bonding, but you see the
Yeah.
fighting and you see that. And I know I'm sorry for even asking, but do you feel that that's a somewhat accurate depiction or is it like not a good depiction?
No, I believe the whole bonding thing, yes. Like Yoga Jones, she ain't really there.
Yeah.
So, but I have a friend who she was in, she filmed, like not filmed with them, but she knew Piper and all that. Her name is Kim, and she's so sweet. She was telling me all the stories about how it really was. But for our experience, yeah, it is kind of like that where we will bond. But then there are women who will get into toxic relationships with other women who they may not necessarily even be gay, but because that's what they're so used to, you have that there.
Mhm.
And it becomes a problem. So in Muncie they have like different sections, so they'll separate you from sections, but that doesn't, it just gives them more things to like just try to get in trouble with and to see if they can get away with it. Or it's just, I don't know, it's a really toxic place. It can be for women to get caught up in
Yeah.
a lot of nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah, and even and I don't know. I'm not saying this was what you experienced, but regardless of what was on a TV show or a documentary, I mean, I know even here in Lackawanna County, there are also instances where maybe there's not a really great. There's a couple guards that aren't so great, right? That might
That's true.
be abusing or sexually abusing, and I think that happened in Lackawanna County, or at least there was an accusation of some sexual abuse. And that I mean that happens in a lot of places, but I mean that's just yet another. Challenge if that's happening or fear that women have to protect themselves from, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing, that did happen when I was in there. Somebody had taken his life because a woman threatened his job and his future or something along the lines. I'm not sure, but this is what we hear in there. And it's that toxic, behavior comes through both. And the men are literally preying on women who are technically state property and we have no say. You're a man of authority, so they feel pressured maybe. And some women, maybe they don't, maybe they do. But they have to be a lot more careful with who they allow to work in a penitentiary.
Yeah,
See, their
that
male security level is okay, you know what I mean?
yeah, oh absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about something, and this is a peer program is pretty common. I do some work with NAMI locally, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and they have a lot of peer support groups. um what I know, some people don't or aren't as enthusiastic about peer support groups. I've heard that side of the argument. How do you, or what is the best way? How do you fight the challenge of maybe, let's say someone is easily prone to getting back into trouble or something, and you've got people together who've been in trouble. How do you fight that where that could happen, where you want them to like no stay take the path that you took, where as opposed to like maybe starting to use again and then maybe dragging someone else into it or something like that?
Well, I think the thing with the peer is you got to make sure the peer that is helping them is good.
Mm,
Because if they're not good, if they're not practicing what they preach behind closed doors, that can absolutely become a problem. Um, the boundaries have to be like your top priority. Like this is not where situations go, and now that you can't, maybe have a drink here or there. Like you can't give an inch to somebody who has been taking advantage or like abusing. They're being an idiot throughout life,
mm,
So the peer support programs, I know some of them, they can get a bad rap up. To be honest with you, if you look at statistics, they actually do help more than they hurt. They help more than counseling and therapy, because somebody like me has a very hard time, at least then, speaking to somebody who has no clue what I've been through. So that really helped me. I had a CRS when I came out here. And she's just fabulous. I still talk to her to this day. And she helped me along my road in recovery. And she went through some really horrible stuff. And it doesn't have to be exact, but to know that somebody went through that and they succeeded and you're watching it in real time gives you that extra, like, all right, I can do this too. So if they actually are amazing, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, it's and I just wanted to ask that because I know there are some people who don't believe in them as much, but I think you make a great point though, as far as someone maybe it's not the exact situation, but they get where you're coming from, where it's someone else who's never had anything like that. They don't fully they can say words that they think are meant to help, but maybe it doesn't resonate. Maybe it doesn't really get through to you because they just don't get it.
Yeah, most people that go to prison and stuff are very disagreeable individuals. They like to argue or fight or be combated, but sometimes your peer who has lived through it can rise to the challenge. And it's not to be combative, it's to be like, hey, let me show you a different way. Let me figure out, let's find out what you want to do. What do you truly love? And let's get you there. And it's not going to take a day, it's going to take years, and it'll take the rest of your life. But to be on this path filled with joy and fulfillment, it's that's what we aim to do for these
Yeah.
women.
Yeah. And I'm not comparing it all because if you haven't lived or had the experience, you don't know that. But I just want to make the point that we're all works in progress, right? Regardless of your path.
Yeah.
I'm just finishing an 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction course, and it's a reminder of that it's a practice. Everything's a practice. You
Mhm.
kind of mess up or you feel you've messed up or you've done something that you didn't want to do, you begin again. It's that whole idea. You begin again because you have an opportunity, but it's a practice because
Yeah.
we're all works in progress and we're all like messing up and trying to fix our mess ups. Every
Yeah.
day we do try our best. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's nice because I got to like sit down with some people in a situation, and I'm gonna commend them right now. It's the Lackawanna County Drug Court, and I never got to see that side of things, or even had any experience personally myself with those things. But just the care that was in that room for the clients was, it brought me to tears basically. Like I just couldn't believe it because I'm like, wow, there are people out here that do care. So I know the justice system is nowhere near perfect and I know it's broke, but there are people actively trying to change it out there. And as a woman, I got to sit with, regular people, right? Like these people in one time of my life, probably I would have saw them as an enemy because there's law enforcement or whatever, and they're just, to see them humanized, it was a really empowering experience to, like, see that everybody's on their own journey and not everybody judges you. And when you come home from prison or you come from a gang lifestyle, you feel like you wear that across your face. You feel like it says it, but it doesn't. It's how you carry yourself and what you want through your life. 'Cause there are people who think that I never, like, really? I'm like, yeah, yeah, really. It was horrible. But yeah, I feel like that's all a good, like a work in progress for everything. I do yoga now, hot yoga. You're speaking of mindfulness. Wow. And I really got into that. So like everything I do, it's just gradually like something different. I'm doing things I never thought I would actually do in life, and
Yeah.
mindfulness, and yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah. And it's, what, every day, that's what like we said earlier, you never know. You might have thought years ago, like, what the hell would I want yoga for or whatever. And now
Yeah.
it's serving you well. And
Yeah.
so that's the great part about being open to things that could be right around the corner or right around the road. Tell me a little bit about the name. And I mean, I think we can get it, but Still I Rise Empowerment Initiative. That's really at the crux of this or the base of this, right? You want
Mhm.
to help empower women to be whatever it is they want to be.
Yeah. Well, I initially was just supposed to be Still I Rise, but that was taken. Um, so with me, it was like I constantly got knocked down, right? And I got back up. But did I really get back up? I did, but it was horrible. So, but this time, you're going to rise above it no matter what. You're going to rise every time, because even though today I am, sober, I am building, having a nonprofit and doing other jobs in life, I still have issues. Like I still have money problems. I still have, my kids, my son, he's like my biggest pain in the butt, but he's incarcerated now. And that's like, you will still have these problems, but you're still going to rise to the occasion to come over them. And then the empowerment part came in where I was like, yeah, the women need to feel empowered, because they don't. We don't feel like we have power. We feel like we live in a man's world, and, they kind of rule the roost. But I think women actually, it's the other way around, and helping them to see that.
Yeah.
That we really like, we have a lot more power than we give ourselves credit for, and to make them take that, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to bash the other gender, but man, some of them are babies. I got to say, women are pretty damn strong.
Oh yeah, my fiance gets a cold and you'd swear he had the flu.
Seriously,
Oh my dear.
women are pretty badass, and we need to lean into
Yeah.
that a hell of a lot more. I think, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But it's, we don't have community that well. Like if you look at the men's prisons and stuff, they will band together no matter what for certain issues, whereas women, they'll catfight over everything. And I want to change that. I want to change that narrative. Like sisterhood's real. We can have it, And if there's an issue, we're all adults. Let's have a discussion. Teaching them healthy communication skills, because we don't always have that, and we're emotional. Women are emotional beings by nature. They're loving, they're caring, they're nurturing, but they feel everything. Whereas
Mm,
men are more logical in a sense, where they're just like, oh, okay, whatever. We'll read into things where the nothing will be there. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Oh, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
And to help with that, I know you had kind of mentioned it before, but I want to make sure I have it right. So, with your organization, you are going to tap into resources that are already out there. So, maybe I'm sure there are programs out there that can help them with their communication skills and different skills. So, you'll kind of try and direct them to what they need for maybe
Yeah.
what their things need to be strengthened, what skills they need to have strengthened.
Exactly. Every woman, we're going to basically like sit down. They'll be handpicked as well. There will be like a process of an application where I will interview them personally after the fact, because I want women who are serious and not just looking for a handout, because that's, life isn't a handout. There's no free ride. There's no, like, you have to work for what you want. There are people out here to help you, to help you get to where you're at. And I want you to help the next woman that comes in, and keep it going and make this a circle of empowerment for everybody. So I will be connecting them with all the resources they need, individual to what they need, because no woman is going to be the same. So
Right.
yeah, I have a lot of people behind me for that. And Penn State is finishing their study with Tomorrow's Neighbors. And as soon as our house opens, they'll be, from what I know, coming in to study our model as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. So this other model, you said is it Cumberland that it
Mhm.
exists? Okay. Okay.
It's
So
called Tomorrow's Neighbors.
yours will be modeled after tomorrow's neighbors then kind of.
Yes, it is
Okay.
similar. So it is all peer to peer. It's all based on trust. But like I said, the men are different.
Mhm.
They don't want any cameras in their facility, or that, it's not their facility, it's a house. But us women, it's a little different. So there will be a little tweaks for women to make them feel safer, and have a better, experience tailored to them. Because when I met Kurt and we sat down, he was like, I always wanted to do a women's thing, but I'm not a woman. I have no clue what it's like to be a woman or be incarcerated as a woman. So, that's where we partnered up, and he helped me to kind of get all this stuff off the ground.
That's great. Give us a sense of when you think, like, what's your timeline, excuse me, look like for when, like, are you just like really at the beginning or where are you at with yours?
So if it officially became an organization on my birthday, and that's funny. So February came an organization. I'm still in the beginning phases, but we are moving along quickly.
That's good.
And I'm hoping that, I'm really optimistic, and I'm like an overachiever in a sense, where I want it to be open by like December. But you know, I'm just getting out there, and Lackawanna County didn't know me. Now they know me pretty well, because I'm showing up everywhere. Uh, and introducing myself to everybody, so that they know that, hey, I'm here and I want this and I want it to be different. And having the county women with the state women and federal women, I believe they can all learn from each other in order to not make certain mistakes, or look back and be like, yeah, you're right, actually. Like the different point of views of the different stages of women and of incarceration, I think is really key as well in this model.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really important. Well, it's ambitious, but obviously you're working hard. And if things are moving along pretty quickly, these things do take time. There's, paperwork, I'm sure, and there's setbacks and funding and all those things that come along with a nonprofit. But it's good that you have someone that you can talk to with the and the model that you're following too, and that you're doing the absolute right thing where you said you're showing up all over. That is the best thing, getting yourself out there and meeting the right people, because you never know, to our point of earlier, who you're going to shake hands with next week, who could be like, who I want to put you in touch with, or who can
Mhm.
help you out. And every little bit that can help out will be great to move you forward.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why, like, when we agreed to this podcast, I was like, you know what? funny wine girl, totally cool with it. I'm sober, but that doesn't matter. I love that for you. And just, some of us shouldn't do any type of substances. And I'm fine with that. I'm high on life. I don't need anything. I promise you. I've done enough in my day. But like being open to having discussions with all people, no matter who you are, where you come from, or what your agenda is, I feel like we all have that one thing in common of community and really trying to be there to support each other as women.
Yeah. And it's funny that like it's uncorked with Funny Wine Girl. And I started it with this idea that maybe I'd occasionally talk about wine, but I really wanted to just feature women and
Mhm.
uncorked as a sense of their opening up and sharing their story. So I hardly ever talk about wine. Yes, personally I drink it, but we hardly ever talk about wine at all. So you don't worry at all. I'm
Yeah.
not promoting wine necessarily. And there is non-alcoholic wine and there's some wonderful mocktails out there. So we can enjoy
I'm a
those.
mocktail girl.
They're
I drink
big.
sparkling water, so like my fiance calls me bougie, but I'm not. I just love it. But like, at our wedding, we're not gonna have alcohol, but we'll have the non-alcoholic champagne to toast with and stuff like that. But I have nothing against it. Like, teach his own. I
Yeah.
have no room to judge on anybody's life or what they do in it. As long as nobody's hurting anybody, who cares?
Yeah.
That's how I see
Yeah.
it.
But to your point too, I think that is important because a lot of people, whether it's for reasons of substance use disorder or just wanting to do something healthier. A lot of people have been leaning into that where they're like, I don't like how I feel after I drink. So they're doing like mocktails or, kind of like the seltzer water, like you're saying. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And if it's your event, it's your business. So it's your style. You're
Exactly.
like, this is what we're having, folks. That's it.
Yeah. Well, no, I have a cash bar for the individuals who do want to drink. Like my dad, he drinks. His wife drinks. A couple of our friends do, and that's fine. But I'm having a mocktail bar because I'm the bride I deserve to have
Yeah.
my moment. So we're gonna have like it's on Halloween, and we're gonna have some really cool stuff going that day for it. But it just I love the community of like when meeting you and the women in philanthropy because there's so many events I'm gonna have planned soon just for women, and I can't wait to like broadcast them for everybody to know because it's gonna be so much fun and everything's gonna be free too. So I'm
Oh,
not,
good.
yeah, because I like just have people sponsor us and just like come out and have this community. Scranton is like I lived in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Okay, so it's pretty, it's very different than Scranton. So when I came to Scranton, I'm like, oh, this place is so beautiful. And everyone's like, no, it has its problems. There's a homeless community and drugs and alcohol. I'm like, yeah, but it could be worse, I promise. So, and I love Scranton. They opened their doors to me and welcomed me in. And, even if people that come here to my program that aren't from Lackawanna County but want to make a home in a new place, this is a perfect place to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe in that too. And like I said, every place has its problems, but every place is home to someone. And I think we really do have a really good, strong community and it's well, together and a lot to do here. There's a lot to do.
Yeah.
Nature is beautiful. There's a lot of wonderful resources that mentioned some of them before. We have a great network of nonprofits and wonderful people, small businesses. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I think that's great. And helping other women flourish here, I think is wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, said your daughter is graduating Marywood. That is she going to stick around or is she
Yeah.
headed out? Yeah.
Well, she's lived in Jersey with me, so she kind of a part of her wants to go to the city. Maybe she is going to stick around out here for a while. But I told her I was like, just go for it, whatever you want to do. Like, if you want to freelance, if you want to open up a business, I'm here to help you. I'm kind of broke, but we'll still do it. We'll figure it out, right? So whatever she wants to do, I'm going to back her on. But if she leaves, I'm going to be so sad. But I don't think she will. I don't think she is right now, at least. I
You've
don't
got
think
some
she.
time, right?
I have some time still.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I have some time, and then my youngest. I have two young little girls, and they spend the summer with us here, and they just love spending time with my daughter. And but to see her graduate college because I missed her high school graduation, and it that like broke my heart for her, for me too, but for her because I'm like, oh my god, this is such a big moment, and I'm missing it because I was so stupid and you know under substances, and I wasn't thinking properly. And my mental health was not there whatsoever. But she always said to me, she's like, Mom, that doesn't matter. But if you're at my college graduation, that's the one that matters the most. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be there. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be there with balloons jumping around and embarrassing you. Yeah.
Well, congratulations to her. That's I got my when I went to when I worked at Blue Cross years ago, they had a program where I was able to go back for my master's degree and I got it at Marywood and I just love that campus.
Beautiful.
I love it. It's wonderful and it's a great program. So congratulations to your daughter.
Thank
That's
you.
phenomenal. And congratulations to you that you can be there. It's a lot of celebration to do.
It is. It's nice. And the parole PA parole out here, they're just wonderful. That sounds crazy coming from somebody like me, but the parole out here, the Pennsylvania State Parole and Probation, they really helped me to excel to get into this. Actually, they helped me connect with Kurt, and they brought me into Strive, which is a program for people coming out of state prison who have like 2 years on their tail or something like that to help them succeed. So they help them with everything with business loans, whatever the case may be. And they brought me in as a provider. So there's so much out here that people don't even know about. Like,
Mhm.
and there's the peer to peer program I'm part of, Reentry Task Force, amazing, all wonderful organizations, and they open you with open arms. They want to see everybody succeed. Parole doesn't want to lock you up. They want you to be, they don't want to have to follow you like a babysitter, and they have all these options for you. Whereas where I come from, I didn't know that those options were available. And I don't think they had them, at least at that time in Jersey, but out here they do. And I think that's just beautiful that your community members are your parole, your probation, the officers, the DAs, the judges, they care. That's just, I think that's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, and it makes sense. You want people who are here to actually succeed, right? It makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good
Yeah.
and less crime. Why would you want someone to go back to crime? You don't want crime. You want people to
Yeah.
be flourishing and working and so like you starting an organization that actually continues that to help people.
Yeah.
So I know you're really in the beginning stages. Is there any place where I can refer people to follow you to keep in seeing your progress? Is there a website or social media or anything?
So we do have an Instagram and a Facebook. I turned my personal TikTok into for Still I Rise, but it has like my personal stuff on it because I feel like this is my life. I'm sharing it. You're gonna see it, and you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, which is Still I Rise Empowerment Initiative. My name, everything's all public as well. My profiles are public. Also, any donations you can donate to Tomorrow's Neighbors. Just put Still I Rise and all the donations 100% goes to the women. I'm just trying to get them out here to have something successful and to be with their kids and their families, and to flourish in a community, pay taxpayer dollars. It costs $60,000 a year to keep somebody incarcerated, but
Mm,
if we could help women for so much less than a fraction of that, why not? It's like a much better option to help them with, and they're free,
yeah. Yeah.
free-ish, parole. But
Yeah.
you're still
Yeah.
free. You just got to ask permission to go certain places, but usually you're pretty free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think it's great. I'm so glad you came up to me on the 13th. I love that you're getting out there and meeting people. That's the perfect thing to do. It's a smart thing to do. And thank you for what you're doing because you really are helping to enhance and enrich our community. I want to thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared with me today.
Yes, and thank you for having this and having me on here and helping empower women and stuff. So, and congratulations on your five. It's
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you.
It's
Yeah, I want to
absolutely
keep
amazing.
keep having these conversations for as long as I can. I mean, it's more of a passion project, but I think how would people, I mean, I don't have a huge audience, I will freely admit that, but for the people who do listen, for them to learn about you, and you never know who's listening who might be like, I got to reach out to that person because I want to be part of what she's building. And I think that's what's important.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree. The same thing for you. The podcasts that really kind of put it out there. You have like the popular ones like Joe Rogan and stuff. He's a little crazy, but you know, it's the same concept except for it's more dialed down to women, and I absolutely love that.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. And I want to tell my listeners, so look in the show notes and I will put all the information, that we talked about as far as following Still I Rise Empowerment Initiative on Facebook, Instagram, and you can follow Tara Gallucci on TikTok. And then I'll put a little information about where you can maybe make a donation to help. And remember, it's Still I Rise. You can make sure you put that if you want, your donation to go there. And if you have questions, I can help you get in touch with Tara. And I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Remember, if you would like to be on the podcast, please feel free to reach out to me, Janine Luby. You can find me at Funny Wine Girl Janine on Facebook, on Instagram, Janine Luby. on LinkedIn. And if you know someone in your life and you're like, oh my gosh, this woman is fantastic, she's great. First of all, I always say, see that she's comfortable having a podcast conversation, and then feel free to reach out to me or have her reach out to me. I'm always looking for fabulous women to feature. And if you'd like to help support this podcast, please keep in mind that I have shout outs available as low as $25 for a one-time shout out, or I have packages where you can support that more on a longer term, and you'll get more for your money, so to speak. But I do understand, believe you me, I understand what a limited budget is like. I live with that myself. So if you are not in a position to support the podcast monetarily, you know what you can do? You can share it. So remember that if you've enjoyed a podcast episode, share it with a friend, foe, anyone you know. Tell them about the podcast, or you can also rate the podcast, give it 5 stars, write a review. All of that is so helpful because there is a lot of noise out there. A lot of it's good and a lot of it's not so great. So, share something positive. That's what I like to say. So I thank you. And as I say each week, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of my wine glass.